Joining me now, Tiago Castro, Vice President of Infiniti Americas. Tiago, thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Tiago, I'd like to kick things off by getting your read on luxury buyers, because the latest retail sales data points to a still healthy consumer despite the fact that sentiment has been weakening. And we know items like Infinitis are big ticket purchases. So what are you seeing among buyers these days? Are they willing to splurge, or are they sort of pumping the brakes?
Well, we still see very strong demand. In fact, just last month in July, we had the highest traffic ever in our website in infinitiusa.com. So demand is out there. The QX80, our flagship model, we just launched this last year. We had 7 consecutive months of year-over-year growth, and we had the highest volume of sales ever for the model in the first 7 months. So there's demand out there. It's obviously connecting with the right clients, and we are here to do that.
So they're not just checking things out on the website, they're actually pulling the trigger and buying.
Correct. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Obviously, there's luxury always inspire people to connect and research. We see more research in the luxury models. So we spend a lot of time ensuring, for example, our digital information is quite accurate, quite inspiring. But people are pulling the trigger, which is good news for the company because of primarily the new models that we're launching.
Yet, Infiniti's U.S. sales have been declining. They went from about 65,000 deliveries in 2023 here in the U.S. to about 58,000 in 2024. The first 2 quarters of this year have also seen declines. So what's the biggest reason for that decline, and when does that trend turn around?
So this year is a very important year for Infiniti. And today is actually a very important moment for Infiniti as well. And I mentioned the year is important because we launched the QX80 last year. We've been building momentum, as I just said. We launched the new QX60 in June. So they're arriving at the dealerships now as we speak. And then next year in the spring, we're launching the QX65. In fact, just behind me, you see the QX65 monograph, which is a concept that instructors or give us direction of where the QX65 is going to go. And this is a very important model for us because we're going to be able to position now this model in the highest segment volume in the industry of luxury. So we expect it to capture quite a bit of customers with this new opportunity. And you'll see Infiniti going back to the growth the company deserves.
Do you have a timeline for that?
So the QX65 is launching next spring, so it's coming very quickly. In fact, after this week, we're here at the Quail, right? Introducing 3 concepts. The QX65 that I just mentioned, the monograph. We also have 2 QX80 concepts. Those concepts are giving us opportunity to test the market and what the luxury customer wants. One of them is called the track spec. Think about positioning a fast vehicle, literally a beast on wheels with 650 plus horsepower, 50% more than the base model. The other one is a terrain spec, which is really a vehicle inspiring overlanding, thinking about you going to Colorado off the mountains in the snow and then showing up in downtown Aspen in style. That's what we're seeing. And the goal here is to test the market, see what customers love the most, and then apply a fast to market approach to bring those to reality.
So no mention of EVs there. I'm curious about where you stand in terms of EV progress. I know a few years ago you set out to have a goal of electrifying the majority of your lineup by 2030. Is that still the plan?
So we have made a few adjustments to the EV plan. We will still have an EV available soon within that time frame that you just mentioned. But we want to prioritize other models before that. So next week, in fact, we're going to be with all retailers of Infiniti in the Americas, and we're going to be presenting a plan for the future. This plan really started with the QX80 last year, QX60 this year, 65 next year, and then 1 model per year for the foreseeable future. So we can build this brand again to deliver what clients really want.
how much do you attribute the change of plans there in terms of EVs and really the delays to lack of EV demand versus the rollback of some of those government incentives that are incentivizing people to purchase EVs?
Yeah, I think they kind of go together. There was a little bit of less demand than expected in the initial forecasts. For example, that we saw forecasts in 2020, 2021. That forecast has come down. And then when you apply, in addition to that less demand, you apply the lack of the government incentives, obviously the demand come down even further. So we see the approach of the ICE engines is still being very important for luxury buyers. Hybrid engines, very important for luxury buyers, and eventually also EV. So there's a combination that we're going to work on. The goal here is to offer a portfolio where clients can decide what they're looking for, and we're going to be able to supply them with that vehicle, with the luxury expected from Infiniti, with the performance expected from Infiniti.
So your Infiniti EV anytime between now and 2030. So I'm curious, do you see a time when showrooms are only stocking EVs? And if so, when do you think that will actually happen?
I don't, right now in the near term, I don't see that happening. Are we talking about many years ahead? I'm not ready to forecast that for you, but I think there will be a longer transition than we all thought. That's for sure.
All right. I also want to talk to you about tariff impact. You have plans here in the U.S. You're making the newly redesigned QX60 in Tennessee, I know. But even U.S.-built cars contain imported parts, and many of those are being hit by tariffs. So what impact have you seen on costs so far, and has it caused you to change your strategy in terms of manufacturing at this point?
Yeah, tariffs have been quite interesting to say the least. I joined Infiniti. I took the helm of Infiniti for the Americas in the 1st of April, and then at April 2nd, tariffs started. So it was very intense first week, I would say. What we're looking at is, the manufacturing, our manufacturing footprint. Right now, we don't have a plan to change the footprint per se, but we're making adjustments. So for example, the QX50 is built in Mexico. We're sending more of those to Canada for them to take advantage of the vehicle without tariffs. We're producing more QX60s that are built in the US here for the US market. And the good news is the QX65, the one just behind me here, the monograph concept, the one that we will launch next spring, will be built in the US as well. So that's a really important piece for us when we bring the second vehicle to the US and expand our footprint here.
So bottom line, should American buyers expect higher car prices because of tariffs?
That's still to be seen. We're watching the industry quite closely. Costs are going up. There's also, you mentioned parts. There's obviously a huge push across every corporation to identify what's the best sourcing for each part. So there's a lot of work to be done. And the goal really is to find ways to mitigate the tax as much as possible. So I'm not ready to forecast what the industry is about to do, but definitely there's a lot of work to be done.
All right, we'll leave it there. Tiago Castro, Vice President, Infiniti Americas, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us.